All right, guys, we have something a little bit different than what we usually do. Today, we have Arlin Moore, and we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of different topics. We're going to be talking about, he has a background in athletics and sports, playing in high school and college, but he's also a mastermind when it comes to networking, tribe building, and building a social circle. So this is Arlin Moore, and just give the audience a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for flying out here all the way from the East Coast, where I'm from actually as well. But I think this is going to be an exciting podcast. Like you said, I have a background in playing sports. I know obviously you do as well. Basically I mainly focus on, I make a lot of content. I've had a YouTube channel for 6 or 7 years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I've transitioned that into multiple different businesses. But I think the main one we'll likely talk about here today is Traibe Accelerator, where I help guys essentially create the network that they want, which is typically a network of highly motivated, successful, guys who want to build something great, and also, more along the sides of like building a long-term relationship on the female side, and focusing on family and, the dynamics of confidence improvement and all the things related to improving your social life is something that I focus on and help guys with. So I'm very excited. I love talking about, sports and my glory days. Let's do it.
Dope. Yeah. All right. So I guess right off the bat, tell me a little bit about your background in sports and you played hockey, so go there.
Yeah, sure. From when I was like probably 3 or 4, actually some of my earliest memories, I was talking to my trainer about this, some of my earliest memories are when I was like 2 or 3 years old, and my dad would be doing like sit-ups on the couch or like push-ups, and I'd be on his back. Or my mom would be like meditating or doing yoga or something like that. So my parents are super active, and they're a little bit older. My dad's like 72, my mom's 62, but they're in great shape. Like they swim. My dad still plays softball. My mom's always going on walks. Like she can like outpace me on like walks. Like, so I come from definitely athletic genetics and athletic like mentality overall, and I was in sports super early, pretty much played everything actually except football. I don't think maybe I could have, I don't know, I'm not a huge guy, so
hey,
it wasn't really.
Hey, I wasn't either.
Yeah, that's true, but so maybe I could have, I could have worked something out. But definitely my main sport growing up was ice hockey, which I don't know, I feel like pound for pound, it's probably a little bit easier to go into hockey as a bit of a smaller guy with a smaller frame than it is football. I guess I could be wrong. What do you think?
No, the way I see it, they're both ferocious sports.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have to have a little bit of that dog mentality in you. So like, I feel like there's a lot of similarities with the mindset that you really need going into a sport. And like being an undersized athlete myself, it really took that sort of not give a fuck mentality to be able to really make it inside those sports. But I don't really have that many. Like, I'm a terrible skater. Mm-hmm. So it's like we're the exact opposites. I come from a football background, as my audience knows. But yeah, you don't want to see me on the ice at all. Not pretty.
Yeah, that's funny.
So do you think that, well, actually, before we head there, you were talking about your parents and the impact that they had on you, and after watching a ton of your content, and from what you just said about how they've been around, doing sit-ups, and your mom was active, your dad was active, and they're both artists, correct? Yeah. So I could totally see that in your content, where you have a lot of these broad topics that you tackle, whether it's your fitness side with Lou, or the social building side, or literally the music choices in your YouTube, Instagram stories. I mean, you could totally tell it's like a very diverse picture. So coming from those parents that are also artists, and that must have a huge impact on you.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say my parents are some of the most influential people to me in what I do and the decisions I make. And I joke about this with friends. Like, it's funny how, growing up, you think most of the things your parents are telling you are stupid, and that like, I don't necessarily think I did, because like, my mom put me in piano lessons, and there were definitely times I didn't want to go, but I would go anyway. Or like, she would have an art class where she'd be teaching people, and she would have me come to the art class. Or my dad, like, I mean, he put a camera in my hands when I was like 3, and we were doing like making videos together. And so I don't know, I think, and there's also like the mindfulness side. Like, there's baby videos of me where my mom is like meditating and my dad's like off doing something with me or something. But yeah, it's funny how like a lot of the stuff your parents tell you growing up, you think is kind of dumb. And then you get to, I think, around like 24, 25, where I'm 26 now, you're like, damn, like, they're right about everything. For the most part. So yeah, they've definitely been massively influential. And yeah, back to sports as well. Like, I played on my dad's baseball team. He was my coach. Pretty sure he was also coach of a couple other sports. But yeah, hockey was the main one. And I mean, I remember my dad would like, because hockey, there's limited ice time. And where I played growing up, there's only like one rink in the town with one sheet of ice. A lot of hockey towns will have like a main rink and, like 6 sheets of ice. So there's plenty of ice time. But we only had one sheet. So for hockey practice, when I was in, 5th, 6th, 7th grade, it would be at 4 a.m. before school. So my dad would like wake me up, and we'd have to go drive, and it's freezing cold. And I come from the East Coast too, near Boston area. And so that was like, that shaped me so much, like, to basically just not be a pussy. like waking up early in the cold.
Write that down.
To go get again, like, undersized athlete, like, to go basically get like beat around by guys a lot bigger than you, puts and not only that, like, this, I guess we'll just get right into the sports mentality stuff, but like, when you're an athlete, like, I feel like my future hires for my business, I only want to hire athletes, because when you're an athlete, you're on time.
Yeah.
Why are you on time? Because if you're a minute late, not only are you on the line for sprints, but everyone on your team, because it's your fault. Yeah. So they teach you accountability. And I also remember, dude, like, my coaches, it'd be so corny, but they'd be like, you guys don't understand. Like my high school coaches, they'd be like, the lessons that you learn in this locker room, they're going to apply to the outside world. And we're just like, yeah, whatever. Dude, like, you're a hockey coach. What do you, like, you don't know, your high school hockey coach. Like, what do you know about the real world? But it's so true. And I saw my coach on the beach this summer, and I went up to him and I was like, you were really right about that. Because the guys that I work with, or even maybe I don't work with them, but I meet, and they didn't play sports, or I don't want to say it's anything too bad about baseball players or anything, but like some guys like who didn't play football or who didn't do wrestling or who didn't play hockey, you can just tell they're just a little softer, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's the dog. that's the dog mentality. Yeah, so I guess a good branch off of that would be, where do you see the transition from sports and the things that you've learned from playing sports, and transition that into the business sense? And how do those lessons that you've learned correlate to building a successful business and scaling?
Yeah, I think it starts with little things, and then there's more broad things, and then there's probably more specific things. So the little things are, like I said, showing up on time. Like showing up on time, not only to meetings, like team meetings or sales calls or any appointment that you have. That's like the way I look at it is like, if you can't be on time for something, you're basically just not a man of your word. And it's like, if I tell you, be here at 10 a.m., right? This actually happened this morning. But if I'm like, if I tell you be here at 10 a.m. and you don't give me a heads up or anything, and you show up at like, 10:30, 10:20, even, it's like, you just broke your trust. Like, you told me you were going to do something and then you didn't do it. And that's okay once in a while, of course. But if it happens repeatedly, and I even look at it like, if you say you're going to be there at 10, you're there at 10:05, and that happens every week, it's like, still, what are we even doing? Like, how can I trust you if you can't even show up on time? I actually had anecdote on this. I had someone that I was very close in business with, and it was a timing thing. It was like, the dude could not show up on time to meetings. And I told him, I was like, this is very important to me. I will not continue to do business with you if you continue to be late. And the guy just couldn't figure it out. Like, he was late to everything. And sometimes it'd be just like 3 minutes late, but sometimes it'd be like 40 minutes late. And he would text me sometimes, like, like this, and this. But even in sports, you have like one excuse to be late, like once.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's that for sure.
And it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter if it is, of course, every once in a while. Yeah. Like, things happen, life happens. But, even if it's 10:01, 10:02, 10:10, it's the concept of, showing respect to understanding that this person, like, just not waste that person's time. So I can totally see how, like, as just a base, as a ground zero, it's like, hiring people and building a team culture is like, that needs to be a fundamental concept that your whole team revolves around, and it comes from you, right? Setting the tone.
Dude, it's so fundamental. Like, if you don't have that down, it's like, what do we even do? Like, where do you go from there? It's like, okay, well, you show up at 10:04 every day. So does that mean that, like, if I want, let's take video editing. Like, if I want the videos to be this quality, that you just kind of like slack a little bit. Yeah. Or like you're going to, it translates Sam Ovens said it, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you can't simply show up on time to something, like what are we even gonna do? Like, how could you do anything on point or excellent if you can't physically and literally be on point with your timing? So that's a big one, timing. And I think the next one more generally is the mindset and the ability to tap into higher levels of focus, energy, and just like going the extra inch when you still don't think you can. Like, the amount of times in sports when your coach has you on the line doing sprints and like you think you're about to throw up, but you have to keep going. Yep. Or, it's like you're maybe, I just think back to like junior year, senior year, where you're like really becoming like a key player on the team. Yep. And your coach has been like putting you out there shift after shift after shift, and then it's like a penalty kill, and you still got to go out, and like you're dead, like there's lactic acid building up, but like you just have to keep going. Yep. And that is traumatized into you through sports and directly translates to business, because it's like, oh fuck, it's late, like I've been working all day, but I got to get this thing out, like for the team, like for me, for and it's just you're able to, I think athletes are really able to tap in to that same space of not thinking you can go further or feeling like you can't, but then you just continue to push.
And off of that, people feel like so often people overlook or underestimate, those fundamental aspects, because they're like, but what's the secret sauce? And it's like, no. Get that base down, and it's so important. And people are always looking for the best vertical jump exercise, or and it's like, how are you sleeping? Like, are you getting 8 hours of sleep? What are you putting in your body? And they're like, yeah, but like, no, but seriously, what's the best vertical jump exercise? And that's what I try to portray through my content and my my programs that I sell. So totally get that, just the base layer of how athleticism can translate into business for sure. But so I wanna talk about your training with Lou.
Let's do it.
So I've
Favorite
seen
topic.
I've seen some of these videos, and it's very unconventional. But can you just tell me a little bit more about your training with Lou, especially in your lifestyle, traveling all over the place and not necessarily having all the equipment, access to equipment that everybody else would have at a gym?
Yeah. So Lou says, the world is your gym. So I've started training with Lou in 2021. I had just moved out to LA, and I have a friend who's a savage entrepreneur. I call him an athlete entrepreneur. That should be a new term.
I love that.
Athlete entrepreneur or athletic entrepreneur or something like that. But he was, he built this company, Same Day. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Same Day Health.
Same Day.
They started during the pandemic and did basically COVID tests. And he just he's a German entrepreneur. I've known him for like 5 years. Super good shape. Like he can backflip. He can jump. He's a athletic, smart entrepreneur. And he invited me to this workout. And he's like, yeah, like I got this trainer. And he's like, come meet me. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, you want to go to breakfast after or something like that? Like, I don't know. And he was like, yeah, sure. But, it's only 15 minutes, just a heads up. And I was like, huh? Like coming from sports too, it's like 15-minute workout. That's like pussy shit. Like that's not a real thing. And, so then we went, and like I almost threw up the first time, and it was like the hardest thing that I'd done. And I was like, holy shit. And I started training with him regularly. He got me on a different like meal plan. Basically, I just started eating, more meat, and a couple other adjustments. And not only that, but like the mindset that he started teaching me and baking into me initially, like right off the bat, and that he still works on me with, is like, it's a full package. I could talk about this for the next hour, but basically the idea behind the shorter workouts is like, if you go hunting, here's the analogy he uses. If you go hunting, and I've never been hunting, but if you go hunting and you shoot a deer, and you shoot it in the head and you kill it, do you then go up to that deer and shoot it 5 more times in the head? No, it's already dead. Terminated, done, right? So that's the idea with his workouts. He sequences things, and this is a guy, by the way, just background on Lou, who came up in the era of like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like he was training alongside Arnold, and he never did steroids, completely natural all the time. I don't know if you've ever seen early days of Lou, but we could flash this on the screen as well. So I'll show you this first. So this is Lou at 13. It looks like me now, right?
Yeah, 13.
And then here he is in his heyday. So he was, very into training from, he's been training people in LA for over 40 years. He's trained like some of the top celebrities, like coming up in the 80s and 90s. He trained with Arnold. So he literally just trains like 15, 20 people a day. He wakes up at like 4 a.m., 4 a.m., and just goes to the gym and just trains people all day until it's time to go home and eat some dinner and go to bed every single day. And he's just Mr. Consistent. But yeah, so it's the idea with like the shooting analogy. So you shoot the deer in the head, it's done. It's like he sequences things so that when you, let's say, and I don't know the sequencing that well. You probably know it better than I do. But let's just say you do pull-ups, and then after the pull-ups, you do a press, and then, maybe something else or something else. Like the third or fourth time that you do something with your shoulders, for third or fourth exercise, you're just done.
Yeah, you're gonna get diminishing returns.
Yeah,
as you go on.
exactly. So that's the basic idea, and he just really he just sequences everything so that within like 7 to 15 minutes, like you can't stand up anymore. So,
and I mean, you could see your progress throughout your content as well, and that's why I love the whole idea of tracking content from long periods of time, is you can literally watch the evolution of your content, single to in a relationship, and your body from where it was to where it is now. So it's like, yeah, no, I mean, 15-minute workouts do sound crazy, even someone in the fitness industry or certified personal trainer. But I mean, the results show. So very interesting. But yeah, I definitely wanted to touch on that just because I thought that would be super interesting, especially from my audience.
A couple other, I could talk a lot about Lou, but a couple other things. Like, I mean, yeah, he talking about the journey. Like, he used to call me a t-shirt on a coat hanger because I was skinny, and like I'm not huge now, but I'm a lot bigger than I was, and you know, it feels good. Like, it feels good to be like good size. It helps confidence. It helps like even like talking to a camera. Like, I don't think it's like people don't want to listen to someone who looks like a t-shirt on a coat hanger, you know. So it helps a lot there.
Yeah, a lot in this world can come down to literally how you portray yourself. And I mean, I'm sure you know that with literally you portraying your life. So one thing I love about your content is literally how it seems like you can inject exactly what picture in your mind, like exactly what you want into the viewer's mind, but without it seeming like disingenuous or forced. And it literally is like an artist drawing or painting a picture, and that's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be manipulation or anything. It's literally like with pinpoint accuracy, and I literally feel it when I watch your content. I'm like, okay, this is exactly the vibe that he's going for. It's like, I'm feeling this vibe, especially, I mean, like the Italy videos. I mean, some favorites.
Yeah.
Some of it. So I love that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I would identify first as an artist overall. Like, my profile picture is a Rembrandt photo, or a Rembrandt painting. And yeah, like, I always had the art books growing up around me. My mom has a painting studio, and again, like, I always had a camera in me, or camera on me. So that definitely comes first, and that's exactly what I try to do, is like communicate messages, not necessarily with like English, but like through visuals and through sound, and yeah, like try to tell people things without, like that Italy video, right? Like, I could use my words and say like, going to Italy with a group of your boys that you met on the internet and just getting a sick villa and going out and having no plan and just conquering a city is one of the most fun experiences you will ever have. And I did it, and here's what happened. I just told you that, but like, you know, I guess like you could say it more artistically, you know, there's obviously art to language, right? But definitely my art is more visual and audio combined. So yeah, that video is, if I had to leave like one video up on my channel, it'd definitely be that one, for sure.
So I think it'd be a good point to transition to how athletes can network in order to achieve their goals, network with the people that they want to be associated with. So, I mean, take for instance, in the dunk industry, there are a whole bunch of people on social media that follow me and the other pro dunkers, and they want to aspire to either play in the NBA or be professional dunkers. And we have this event once a year called Dunk Camp, and it's in Salt Lake City, Utah. Super awesome event. We all stay in the hotel together, and it's like a 7-hour day where we all go there and dunk and learn from each other and get to communicate with the pros and the people like our followers and whatnot. So super awesome week. So how can people use events like that and also your networking techniques in order to bring that into the athletics field and help them advance their careers in athletics.
Yeah, so what's cool is like what I teach is, and especially what I teach in Traibe Accelerator is, it's like principles based. So it's you can take it as an athlete, as someone who works on Wall Street or who's I don't know, in the education niche or something like, and you can just take the same principles, apply your specific interests and details of what you're into to the principles, and then it works. It's just like copy paste with the strategies and the principles that I teach. So what I would imagine is if you mentioned there's like some events that you go to. Okay. What are they called?
Dunk camp. So that's like the biggest dunk event of the year for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah. So one of the core things that I tell people to do is to basically set up your own events or your own, in Traibe Accelerator, we call them gatherings. What a gathering is basically, or an intentional gathering is when you design a consistent weekly meeting with the people that you want to network with, and you design it in a way that accomplishes the results that you're looking for out of the networking that you want. So I'll give you an example of what I did, and then we can translate to your situation. So one example of a like gathering that I set up was when I first moved out to Los Angeles, and I rented a spot in the Hollywood Hills, and I wanted to meet basically like a gambit of different types of people, different types of successful people in Los Angeles. Like I just wanted, there's so many different, there's artists, there's producers, there's crazy entrepreneurs. So I wanted to just meet all these kinds of people. So I designed this gathering where it was essentially a thinker dinner. So the idea was, and that's what I called it, but the idea was I was going to invite people from different spaces to this dinner, and then just talk about ideas and talk about each of our businesses and see if we could like provide value to each other in some way. So like the first time I did this, I had my friend Felix, who I mentioned started Same Day Health. I had Casey Adams, who's actually a big podcaster and entrepreneur. I had my friend Rapta, who's an artist, my friend Jan, who has an augmented reality like tech startup, and my friend Tony Pillow, who's a videographer. So you have like 6 people around the table, and then me. 6 people around the table who are just all in super different fields, just sharing their story and then like going back and forth on ideas. So after that, it was like a dinner with like 6 to 8 guys, and then we would throw a party. And obviously we'd invite some girls. I was single at the time. And so it was kind of a cool setup. And also people would like bring stuff that was unique to them. So, and I would try to find synergy. So like my friend that had the augmented reality startup, which is basically like you can take a video of someone and then it turns them into a hologram. So my friend who was the artist, like he would like sing. And then my other friend who did the startup with the augmented reality would like take a video of him and like broadcast him as a hologram. And then my friend who had the startup, the health startup, was connecting the augmented reality guy to some investors that he knew to help him like get money for his business. And then, the podcast guy had like people to talk to potentially get connections for his podcast. So I was like trying to create this synergy with everyone. Yeah. But also for me, like be able to learn from all these super interesting, cool people. And the key with it was that I did it once a week. And when you do it once a week, it becomes like it becomes something that you get more comfortable doing. The first 2 times, 3 times you do it, it's a little awkward. You've never really hosted anyone before. But then over time, you just get really good at being a host. And it becomes like impressive almost, You could get like a caterer. You could get like you could bake in all these different things to make the experience a lot more attractive. And so again, I designed the Thinker Dinner because I wanted to meet all these different types of different thinkers in Los Angeles. So translating it to you and in like the athletic space, it's like, well, what are you looking for? What is the end result? And I would ask you, like, what is the result that you want? Like, you want to meet people in the dunk community, in sports. What do you like? Who are the types of people that you or maybe someone in your audience would want to connect with? and what is the outcome you want from those relationships, and then from that we can be intentional and we can design a gathering that suits that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. So like,
So go ahead.
yeah, so I'm thinking in the dunking niche, there are a couple big accounts on Instagram, YouTube, etc., social media. One in particular, Dunkademics, who I'm actually making content later today with. He runs a huge page, huge audience, and is well connected in the industry. So it's similar to what you've also said in some of your content, where you go to the connectors that already have the connections in the industry. So there are content creators like that. There are other pro dunkers, and my audience mainly is looking towards connecting with the big names in the industry to get invited to events, to be able to message the professionals and actually have them be aware that they exist and aren't just a random person in their DMs, that we get thousands of DMs. So that's what they're looking for. They're literally looking to advance their status in the niche of the dunk niche. So I would say that that's really what they're looking for.
Okay. So advanced status in the dunk niche, is any of it, because I know you mentioned athletes, is any of it like involving being recruited for a team or being recruited for a college team or something like that, or person training or something in that area?
So if professional dunkers, there are specific dunk contests that you could get invited to.
Okay.
And that's definitely something that is reserved for like the top tier dunkers, and it's not that big. It's not like a professional sport yet in itself, like basketball, where there's a whole bunch of different events in college and NBA and different side leagues. You can go overseas. So there's not so many events that is accessible to everybody dunk contest wise, but there are these must go to events like dunk camp, like events that Whistle Sports throws that you want to get invited to, and there you can connect with a person that runs a big account or a pro. And I guess my biggest question would be, and my audience's biggest question would be, what can a person do, just a follower do, to really gain the attention of someone in a higher position? And I think that's super core.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that goes
for sure.
Niche.
Yeah. So I mean, first of all, it's interesting hearing, because I don't personally know a lot about like the dunk niche. I mean, I would say behind football, my second worst sport was basketball. I played basketball growing up, and I have good handles, believe it or not, but I could not shoot. I just didn't practice. But my point is, I don't know a lot.
I'm a playing 101.
Okay. But yeah, so as first of all, it's interesting to hear about this world I didn't even know existed. I knew it existed, but I didn't realize it was like you could be a professional dunker.
Yeah.
That's wild. So here's what I would do. I would design a recurring gathering, and it doesn't have to be a dinner. It could be like, hey, every Saturday, I get a group of dunkers to come to this, I would imagine like a special gym, right? Like maybe someone has maybe you network with a successful entrepreneur, maybe you network with Drake, and you're like, every Saturday we dunk at Drake's mansion, right? Now that's obviously a little bit crazy, but that's the idea. It's like, I'm trying to create a super unique experience that even if they don't care who I am, even if I have no money, no followers, even if I can't jump, they would want to go.
Yeah,
it's still dope. Like the event itself is dope. Like think about the Thinker Dinner, right? It's at a dope house in the hills. It's got all these successful people around LA, and there's a party after. Probably gonna meet some cute chicks. Who is Arlin? Who cares? I don't know. That sounds
who's
cool.
not going to an event like that? Like,
Exactly. So you want to design the gathering in a way that it has gravity, that they don't care who you are. So you have to, as long as you are creative enough to think of like, what would people in the dunk community be attracted to, even if they didn't know who I am. And that way, when you say the offer, even if you only have a couple minutes, like, yo, you want to dunk at Drake's later? Like, yeah, like who's saying no to that?
Yeah.
It's also like, I call it a sushi offer. It's like, actually, I live pretty close to Nobu, Malibu. If someone invites you to Nobu Malibu sushi, you almost don't care who invited you, because it's like you need to wait a month in advance to get a reservation,
Right.
And it's on the water, and it's dank food. Like it's amazing. I haven't said the word dank since I was like 14. But bringing back dank.
Go back.
But Nobu's dank. I mean, but yeah. That's the idea.
So
Yeah.
okay, so I think I have an idea that like someone in my audience can literally replicate, and you tell me if it's something that is like that quality that what you're talking about. So there's this really, really sick gym in Chicago. Like it is on a roof. No, it's not on a rooftop. It's encased in glass, but it's like a penthouse encased in glass, and it is literally just a full court basketball court, and you can literally see the skyline just from there. So absolutely insane views. I forget the name of it, but you can just type in Google Chicago rooftop basketball court glass, and it'll come up. And I've actually reached out to them, and we're working on getting me down there to make some content there. But so imagine you're in Chicago. You're like, okay, you have some money to say, all right, I want to try to network with the owner of that gym, or I actually pay to get access for that gym. Have it for an hour. Then you invite all of the local dunkers and they might be just dunking on low rims or might be getting rim grazers, but you're still getting content with like-minded people. And then you could even step it up and say, look, I hired a videographer for a week. Like I think a videographer and photographer is like so key, because who doesn't want good videos? Who doesn't want good photos? Like girls want it, guys want it, everybody wants it. So then now you have a juicy event that someone's gonna be like, yes, I want to go and play basketball and make content there and show that I'm there and post it. And, maybe you can make that a once a month thing or a once a season thing, but it's something that people will obviously want to go to. And that way you start to get a little bit of authority in that niche, and you gain some attention to where somebody like me in my position might be like, yo, that's a sick place. Like, who thought of that? And then I actually look at your account, and then maybe you've messaged me before, and then I'm like, you know what, let me message this guy back.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool. There's one part that I'll say that, people might not be thinking about that's definitely a factor, is like, let's say you don't have the money to rent it. Mm-hmm. Well, there's other ways to basically create value for a third party that could supply the money.
Right.
So let's just say, for example, someone's like a huge fan of dunkers, but he has a lot of money, but he doesn't know how to connect them. You design the event, you invite them, you have the access to them, he pays for it. Or let's say you have a sponsor. You, maybe not Nike, but like you reach out to like
Body Armor.
What, Body Armor?
Body Armor.
Yeah, sure. Body Armor, or like some like startup, energy sports drink, like a Gatorade type competitor. And you say, hey, like, we got all these dunkers. They all got hundreds of thousands of followers. You're going to get a ton of exposure. We just ask that you rent out the gym, and we'll supply your drinks. You can have a stand there. We could even get like T-shirts for this. And yeah, so you can supply a sponsor, you can supply the dunkers, and then you supply this. You're just the organizer. You don't have to bring anything else to the table other than organizing the situation. That's it.
That's good. Yeah, that definitely, that's something I didn't even, I just overlooked. Yeah, I'm like, okay, how are they going to get access to the gym? But yeah, it's literally keys like that people don't really think about, and how you can literally, you're just networking and bringing pieces together to create like that end product, but you really break it down and say, okay, like, how can I do this? Instead of just like, oh, I have to buy it out or do this, like, how do I actually get this accomplished in a unconventional way, and something that I can actually afford to do?
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. So I mean, hey, I might have to make this event happen. I'm gonna have to reach out to that gym, because that sounds like a fun event. But like, I hope that you guys also try to use these tips and techniques and network your way into building a platform for you to create good content and create a reoccurring event that people, it's so juicy that it's a sushi offer. I mean, everybody wants to get sushi at Nobu. So think about that. I think that's some gold right there. Okay, so changing the topic a little bit, I'm sure you've heard the expression that you are the average of the 5 people that you hang out with most. So I'd like to ask you, I guess, maybe not specifics, you can go into detail about it, but basically, have your 5 stayed consistent throughout your whole journey? Like, have they evolved with you, or have you subbed some out and said like, okay, no, you're out, you're not with me, you're not leveling up? So how do you see that, and how does that relate to you?
Yeah, it's a really good one. I mean, it's true. It's definitely true.
Yeah.
And like I've traveled so much and moved around in my life so much that I've absolutely noticed that you are the 5 people that you hang out with the most, as cliche as it sounds. It is 100% true.
Yeah.
And what I can say about it is, because you asked about, has it been consistent for me? I mean, it hasn't. It hasn't. What I found is like throughout your early 20s, and I guess I'm getting into my late 20s now, which is kind of weird. But you as a young man, like you move around. Typically, you move around so much that, and everyone else around you is moving around so much that the people that you spend the most time with, it kind of goes through seasons. It's either like you're with the same people for like a few months at a time, or at most, like someone that you hang out with a lot is in your life for like a year and a half as like your closest friend, like your closest 5. And then either they move across the country or across the world, or you move.
Yep.
And then you're still friends. Like you still keep up through social media. Maybe you see each other like once or twice a year. But your core 5 typically is always changing. And I think it is very important to be super mindful of who you're surrounding with, because it has a massive impact. It's definitely something I'm very mindful of. And that you can really absolutely design, if you're intentional about it. Like I think the best way to do it is to ask yourself, all right, well, what are my personal goals? And then think about who already has those goals and or is working toward those same goals. And if you can just pick, if you can just define those types of people that you want in your life. Like let's say, for example, you want to be making more than $1 million a year. You want to have a fun social life where you go out, a couple times a week, go out to dinner, maybe go out to a concert or a club, or maybe you plan a trip here and there. Maybe you want to be really good at jumping, right? Maybe you want to maybe one of your goals is to have a really close tie to family, right? And maybe stay away from like the degeneracy of like club life as much.
Yep.
Say okay, so those are like 4 or 5 goals that I have. So let me think. So the first one, I want to make more than $1 million a year. You better make sure that you have at least one friend in that 5 that is doing significantly above $1 million a year, or is definitely on the trajectory to do that. That's like, you need that, because if you aren't talking to someone consistently that has those thoughts in their mind, you're gonna model the thoughts of the brokies. So you need to have that. The next one that I mentioned was a fun social life, travel, right? So you need to have a friend in your life that you're close to that goes out to dinner a couple times a week, that likes to go out and go to maybe a club once in a while, or maybe likes to plan a trip, a couple times a quarter or once a quarter.
Yeah.
If you want to be good be good at jumping, right? You better have a friend who's inviting you to the gym to go dunk, like all the time. If you want to have that close tie to family, then you need to have a friend. Like my girlfriend has a large Jewish family that has Shabbat every single Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Like family's super important to me. So, that's a good connect right there. So yeah, you basically like plan your goals, and then you have to then like think about the people that you're currently around. See, do they match these? Are they adding to that? Or are they detracting from it? And if you don't have someone in your life, for example, that is a dunk coach or dunk expert, then just intend into the world that that's what you want. And then when you meet that person, you're likely to, give them a little more attention, maybe create an event, invite them to it, and or think about where you also might find them in the first place, and start going to the gym more often, start playing more, start dunking more.
It's all about that intentionality too. I mean, that, and I hope people see that and are inspired and are like excited, and that lights a fire. The fact that like everything that you go over in Traibe Accelerator is literally giving you the ability to, this is exactly how you can change this. It's not just some general advice that is like, okay, but how do I apply this? It's like, no, it's literally showing the steps of, this is exactly how you're going to get from A to B. And if that doesn't make you excited and light a fire under you, then I just don't know what will. So, I mean, yeah.
Dude, Traibe Accelerator, just to pump my own tires, like, I've spent a lot of money on courses. I went to college, but I also purchase online courses all the time. What I built with Traibe, and like my parents are both teachers basically too, so I love like educating people. What I built with Traibe is hands down like one of the best courses that exists, at least in my personal experience, because I first of all, it's like the 7th iteration. Mm-hmm. So the way I built it was like a few years ago, like I launched the offer and I took some people through it, and they had questions for me based on, their experience going through the action steps I told them to do. And then the next version I made of the video course, I answered those questions and added like new steps, right? And then it happened, and then they had questions, and then I iterated again and again. So it's the 7th version. So it's like, imagine doing that across 3 years, just listening to
getting refined,
iterating.
It's getting refined.
It's very refined, and it's like no one has questions because everything is answered.
It's a good spot.
Everything is thoroughly explained. You have a network of people that are doing it with you. You have coaches that reach out to you proactively. Like we have Slack reminders for every person that joins the course to be checked up on, to make sure that they're going through it, to make sure that they're getting good results. If they have any questions. So yeah, I'm like very proud of it because it's like we get 25, 30 wins per week. Like people post like, holy shit, like this is so amazing. Like, and we're looking to always grow that number, but it's very good. I have to say, plug my own product, but yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, it speaks for itself because I've seen that you've shared like a whole bunch of successful people in your course that are actually taking those steps and forming amazing events on their own, taking over in different countries of the world. So yeah, I mean,
well, bro, there's a cool one. Like a big reason guys join, right, is because their friends are not in the same mindset. Like their friends are either just drinking and partying, or they're in like the normal path in life and they want more. And they want to travel, they want to build something cool, they want to make something great of themselves.
Right.
And so a lot of the success that guys look for and that they actually achieve is like going to Colombia with a group of guys they met in the course, or going to Bali or going to Cape Town, and traveling around the world with like a cool group of guys that are in the same mindset. So the reason I bring that up is because take like dunking, right? Like imagine like for your event, it's not just in your town, it's 3 times a year we do a trip to, I don't know, let's say like Brazil or Colombia, or like 3 different trips, or like Guatemala, and you go dunk in like these crazy countries with like the craziest,
maybe
like
get a villa with a basketball court.
Or imagine like just Google like craziest basketball courts in the world.
Oh, I have. I know you guys have too.
Yeah, right. And you actually get a group of guys that are all into dunking, and you all go on this trip together. Like imagine how fucking cool that would be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, that lights a fire under me. I gotta start. I need to get back in those Google images. Look at that again. Cool. Okay, so now that we're talking about the travel side of your life, I wanted to, I just wanted to go over, I guess, the steps of how you were able to convince people to actually split those costs of travel trips, especially in your earlier days when you weren't necessarily rolling with the Superfly high roller click that you guys are rolling with now. When you were kind of just starting off and didn't have that sort of connections, how did you convince those people?
Yeah, well, it's pretty easy. I mean, what people don't realize is that sometimes traveling is cheaper than where you actually live. Like if you live in LA or New York or Miami or any main city in the US, if you go to, I actually have some guys on my team right now that are living in Colombia right now, and the currency there is weaker. Or if you go to, there's obviously like Bali and then Cape Town, right? These are beautiful places with beautiful people, and as long as you can pay for the flight to get there, which here's the thing, like you pay for the flight, but then because it's so much cheaper, and like I'm talking like a lot cheaper, like in Bali, you can spend pretty much like $20 a day on transportation, food,
Crazy.
like lifestyle, and still have an amazing lifestyle. And then like you could get like an amazing place to live for like $8 a night. That's pretty cheap. But like $8 a night in LA gets you basically nothing.
Like not even a drink. I was gonna say like a drink, but nope, not dude.
I literally like the place down the street, the on the pier, the restaurant. I've gotten into a bad habit where I kind of like stopped looking at how much things cost. I mean, but especially for like a coffee, right? And I got a coffee and a hot chocolate. And I've been going there the past like couple weeks, but I just put my card down. It's early. I'm not really paying attention. And I looked at the thing today, and it was $19. And I was like, and I paid for it, and I was like, it was a coffee and a hot chocolate. And I looked at it, I was like, wait, $19 for 2 coffees? And she was like, yep. And I was like, holy shit. Like, so anyway, like $19 in a place like Bali, like your coffee's like maybe 50 cents. Like your eggs, bacon, sourdough toast, like, your whole breakfast could be like $2-3 US. So, if you get the flight over there, it's going to be like, if you book really far in advance, you could probably get like $1,500 from LA, right? That's very far. It's $1,500, but then you get there and you're spending a quarter of what you would be spending anyway. So it actually probably evens out. So all you have to do, it's less about convincing people on the price, because you could break it down and show them like, we're actually not going to spend any more than you currently are for your rent or for your food, right? Your groceries. But it's more about actually just, the funniest part is like getting people out of this box that they live in, right?
Yeah.
And like I say this sometimes when I'm doing these podcasts or videos, like people don't realize you're literally living in a box. You're in a box in your house. You're in a box in this podcast, like a digital box. And because you're physically in a box and digitally in a box, you're in a box in your mind. And people don't know how to get out of that box. It's even like, yo, I'm doing a dunk trip with a bunch of dunkers. We're all going to go to Mexico, and we're going to find, check this out on Google Images, the craziest dunk. It's the craziest basketball court you've ever seen. And guess what? I did the math. It's only going to cost this, which is probably the same or less what you're spending now. We're going to stay there for a month and a half, and you're actually going to save money. And people will see it on paper. It's an amazing experience, but then they'll be like, oh yeah, I don't think I can do it, right? And it's like they have zero excuse logically. It's just they can't escape the box.
Yeah.
And that's actually the main thing that you'll find. And that's partly why, guys who take the leap into Traibe Accelerator get so much enjoyment, is because the guys in there are all like, they'll just drop everything and go. They're like, yes,
it's
say yes to life.
To get a person that is just like, I'm down. It's like, really? Like it's become such a refreshing thing now, because you always get the, yeah, and then you hit them up like, I'm about to buy the flight, like, oh, actually I can't.
Yeah, exactly.
That sucks. So yeah, totally see the instant benefit right there of just instantly being dropped into a community of, yes, all right, send me the details, let's go. Love that. Crazy. So interesting question. How much hate do you get on social media?
That's a good one. I mean, I don't know. Like, I definitely get it, but I just like, and it used to upset me, but I've become so not only numb to it, but I like encourage it, because there was a switch that flicked in my head when I just heard Tai Lopez talking about it and actually proactively generating hate. Where I was like, oh, obviously Tate is sort of a proponent of provocative marketing, where he's intentionally agitating people and intentionally generating hate. So I think seeing Tai Lopez, OG Tai, doing it on purpose, like generating hate on purpose. Ty Lopez generating hate on purpose and Andrew Tate generating hate on purpose, where I was like, fuck, maybe I should do that a little bit. So I actually don't really provoke. It's just not my style. Like, provocative marketing is not exactly my style. But occasionally, like, I find what happens is, I have a short form editing team who does like TikToks and Instagram and such. And like, I tell them, like, look for more controversial takes that I have. And sometimes I might even take it out of context or like not let me finish my point. And then people are just enraged. And I'm like, dope, like, got 1 million views.
Drive up that engagement.
Everyone hates me, but now I grew 1,000 followers, so 1,000 people liked it. So, who cares? Like, they took time out of their day to like tap their thumbs to think about me. Like, they're like, thoughts are energy, right? And the more that a consciousness of people is thinking about you, the more energy that your movement gets. So, yeah, I just like, I embrace it. Like, I think it's funny. I think it's cool. I think it's good. I like the hate comments for sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and
what's funnier than hate comments are hate DMs, because at least comments, it's like people are kind of ganging up on you, but like a hate DM, it's like no one else saw that but you.
Yeah.
Like, I'll get them occasionally. I'm just like, you really like
they went out of their way to go, and it's always perplexed me. Yeah, like never really got on me that much, but yeah, like definitely every post you look in the comment sections and there's gonna be people saying it's faked, or this video is faked, or this jump it's not that impressive, or whatever, it's trash, and you'll actually get some really disgusting hate too. But I mean, I think, yeah, it comes with the territory, and it's again that dog mentality, like, bring it on, I don't give a fuck. Like, yeah. So how do you decide where to travel next? Do you do it solely based off of like, this is just where I want to go, or is it where I want to network with this person and that's where that person is located?
It's actually it's more so based off like the season and events that are taking place. So I just got back from Cape Town, which right now it's winter in the United States, but across the world in Cape Town, it's summer. So it's 80 degrees every day.
Nice.
You got a beach. You can go on safari. And then also there's typically like events in the summertime in places where it's summer, where it's winter here. So, another thing is like, where's the next place to be? Well, right now it's like it's February, March next month. But in February, you've got, I'm pretty sure there's like a festival in Brazil. There's, I think it's called Carnival or something.
Yeah.
There's, in March, there's like a couple bigger festivals, I think, in like South America. So if you wanted to like, follow the events, you're going to find that's where you find like the most popular, richest, successful people.
Got it.
The next one coming up that I'll probably go to is Coachella. Like Coachella,
April, right?
What's that?
April?
Yeah, April. Yep. And then also after there's Coachella weekend 1, Coachella weekend 2. The next weekend is Stagecoach, which is the country concert. Then after that is EDC Las Vegas, which is all electronic music. Then after that you have the Cannes Film Fest, which is in France, and that starts the Cannes Film Fest is like the start of like European summer. So, and then there's Monaco F1, and all these like major events. Like, it just depends what you like. There's NBA championships is a huge event. So if you're thinking about where should I travel next, well, think about where's the next big event that you care about and go there. And even if you don't have tickets, it's still where you're going to find, just bumping in on the street, like, the most successful, coolest people in the world, because at least relevant to that niche, because they go to the best events. That's it. That's simple as that.
All right. So I wanted to ask you about more of the relationship side of the picture, and how do you attract someone that can handle the lifestyle that you live? Because in my experience, I feel like my past relationship failed just because the person couldn't really handle the type of life that I lived. And I wanted to hear your opinion because I know that you're in a successful, happy relationship right now, which is awesome. So yeah, just expand on that.
So you have to be super, super intentional. And you have to write down, there's like a couple parts. One, you have to literally ask yourself, like, what does my ideal life partner look like?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to phrase it like that, because if you're just dating to date, like there's no end point. Most girls that you're dating, like 99% of girls you're dating, probably want a life partner, you know? Like if you're hooking up, like you run the risk of like having a child, so she wants someone that's in it for the long term. So guys don't see it as much that way, like genetically, and guys can, you know, get brainwashed by social media and think that relationships suck and whatever. So the first thing you have to do is get to a point in your mind where you actually think you're ready for a life partner. And there's a lot of different like beliefs you have to look at in yourself to get to that point, but that's step one. So you have to believe that you're ready for it. Because if you don't believe you're ready for it, then you're just dating for fun. It's just like, you know, the relationship's going to end, you know, one way or another, probably somewhat sour. So I think the first step is come into a place in your mind, if you really strongly believe in your core that you're ready for a life partner, that's number one. Then the next step is making a list of all the attributes of what the perfect partner would be, and really looking at like lifestyle values. Like, do you like traveling? Do you share some of the same hobbies? Like, I like art and video, and I had a clothing brand at one point. Like, first thing my girlfriend noticed about me was I had this hoodie on. I don't run the clothing brand anymore. I'm actually thinking about bringing it back, but she noticed she liked the hoodie, and it's a hoodie I designed, and that was like the first thing we connected off of. So, you know, shared values, shared interests, shared hobbies, shared goals, shared visions, like where you both want to live is a key one. You have to know a lot about yourself and your preferences before you really get a super successful relationship that just like you guys are a great team. Understanding yourself and what your organizational level and skills are. Like if you have two people who are both messy, like I'm a messy person. I operate in chaos and I'm rarely super neat. My girlfriend is complete opposite. Like she's type A she has OCD. Like she's hyper organized. So we make a good team because I generally create chaos and she creates order. So and life manifests between chaos and order. So when you have two people on opposing sides, typically that works very well. So you basically have to look at like, where should you be different and where should you be the same? Right. And also in the point of like, where should you be different? It's very rare that like you're going to attract someone that has literally everything that you want. And there's bound to be areas where you consistently disagree. But and like my relationship is really great. It's not perfect, but in the ways that it's imperfect, I view as like room for my girlfriend to grow and room for me to grow. So just as an example, like we're pretty transparent with our relationship. Like one of our core arguments is I'm like a based like health sort of fanatic. And she was an athlete growing up. She's like generally pretty healthy, but like I take it to the extreme. And so while I want her to be a certain way, more of a certain way, health-wise, you know I like one of my things is like I'm pretty controlling and I'm pretty I have super high like health standards. I'm controlling when it comes to health. So I need to trust and understand, like I need to work on my acceptance, trust, and understanding and supportiveness, and also understand that women are not motivated by like, hey, you shouldn't eat that. Like, hey, don't do this. Like if it's a guy, if I tell you like, bro, you're getting fat, like you shouldn't eat that, or, you know, that's not good for you. Here's why. Like doing that with women, it doesn't work as well. Women are motivated by positive encouragement. It's like the feminine is more like, hey, you're doing great. Like, I love it when you work out. Like, I love it when you eat this, and focusing more on what you want more of rather than what's not okay. So So it's mapping out all these different values, lifestyle, habits that you think would cause both of you to thrive together. And also this is like a major one, dude, because it's funny, like the same way I said at the beginning, like your parents are typically right about everything. You know what else is right about everything? Most religions, like the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, like these scriptures that say don't have sex before marriage is very smart. And the reason is because the second you have sex with a girl, you both fall under a hypnosis of beauty and of lust and of wanting more sex, and you start to rationalize everything else, every other flaw that the person has. So if you're just going around,
The guys,
you're just going around having sex with people and then thinking about them and their qualities, it doesn't matter. They could be the worst human ever. You're just going to justify that they're the best person ever because you're having sex.
Yep.
So that's why it's funny, like as stupid as it sounds, like you should really define who you want, go on some dates, meet their another one is think about their family. Like when you marry a girl, or if you get in a relationship with a girl, at some point you're gonna probably, like, at least, and my girlfriend's quite different because she has family Shabbat every Friday, super close with her family and all her cousins. Like you gotta think like you are going to see the family, whether it's holidays or just, she's gonna want to see her family once in a while. So how can you put that to your advantage, right? Like, what if you could basically choose who your second dad is? Think about that. Like you could actually think, okay, well, I want the girl, but I also want a dad who's like this, and his relationship with his wife is like this.
See, everything we've talked about so far has been such like about intentionality. Everything it's like chess. It's like you're thinking ahead and planning out the life that you want to live. People a lot of times just allow life to happen to them, and you're literally attacking life.
Dude, it's the same thing that you kind of were saying too about jumping. Like you can focus on the jump exercise, but how do you sleep? It's like you can focus on how hot the girl is, but would you get along with her dad?
Yeah.
Like,
yep. All things matter. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's all things matter, and you have to look at it from every angle, and it's the most important decision you can make in your life. Because talk about 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
You need to be around someone who you both grow in a positive direction on a consistent basis, or else it's going to be the worst relationship in your life, and you're both going to consistently not be growing. And I've had that, and that sucks. So, yeah.
Interesting. So with that being said, talking about relationships, can you expand a little bit about sexual transmutation and how that, because I think with my audience in particular, you can use that in order to stay hyper-focused on your goals, to be more athletic, make sure that you're in the gym more consistently. Everything ties together. I mean, you can tie that to literally any goal you want to achieve, right? Because everything is centered around, do you have the drive and the motivation? So first let's define sexual transmutation and exactly how can we spin that to our advantage?
Yeah, so energy can only be transformed. It can't be created or destroyed. All the energy that exists in the world is already there, and you, as a human, experience different forms and different levels of energy through the hormones that are going through your body, through the emotions that are going through your body that are also affected by the thoughts that you think. And so when you have a sexual urge, that is simply an energy force that has entered your body. You feel like you want to have sex with someone, or some guys, watch porn, jerk off, right? And that's a very powerful energy, particularly because intentionality, the intention behind it, your intention might be just to get off or whatever, but the actual intention that is built into the human body is to create life. So that's a super powerful force. And there's a lot of energy there, and that can be transformed, right? So if you jerk off, that energy is transformed into some sperm cells that then go down the toilet or into your sock or whatever.
Waste.
And it's wasted. But I mean, you don't even have to call it waste. It's just you basically transformed it into the toilet or into your sock. And it's like, if you really literally logically think about it, it's like sperm cells that are just now down the drain.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one way that you can move that energy. Another way you could do it is to move it into the body of a woman and create a child, because then her sexual energy is in her eggs, and they form and they make a baby. That energy, you can, let's say you feel it, you have to become aware and conscious of it. You can then, because you notice when you're aroused, you're awake, you're super energetic, and you can do other things. You could then go work out. You could then go sit at your desk and focus on your business. You could think about your goals and manifest and attract your goals through like some form of visualization practice. And there's all these different things you could do. You could go, I talked about physical activity. You could film a video. You could film a YouTube video, right? Like there's so many options of ways you can express this, because the energy has to go somewhere, and it will go somewhere, because energy can only be transformed, can't be destroyed, can't be created. So with transmutation, the idea is whenever you feel aroused, think about what you're going to do with that energy. Is it time to make love to someone that you hopefully love? Or is it time to move that energy into your business? And the most successful people in the world, a lot of them understand this. There is something to be said about like cleaning the pipes once in a while and just like letting out, because as a young man, you do regenerate quickly, and you do have a system that can actually benefit from that. But all sex transmutation is just realizing that you can put your most powerful creative force into something that you love to do.
And I think that, so before I've even heard of that term, I've been basically, to an extent, practicing this, where I would talk with some friends, and then something would come up, and I'd be like, wait a minute, like how many times per week are you jerking off? And the numbers can be staggering sometimes, and I was like nowhere near that, and not doing, like, just barely doing that at all. So I was so driven towards I was building multiple businesses, and my friends are looking at me like, how are you doing this? My parents are like, where is this energy? How do you do this? My clients that I talk about my other businesses with, they're like, where is this coming from? And I definitely think that they're related. So when I actually heard of sexual transmutation, like the actual definition of it, I was like, yeah, that seems about right. Like, yeah, I mean, if you just think about it from a basic standpoint, like how do you feel the moment after? It's like, are you going to conquer the world? Like, you're not going to conquer the world after that. So people are doing that. They're literally forcing themselves to be docile and not being able to conquer anything multiple times per week, and over compound that weeks, months, years. How much of the time of your life are you in a docile state, not ready to attack? So just something to think about. So I want to finish off this podcast with some hot takes. Okay, so basically I'm just gonna shout out some lines, and I want to hear your answers to them, and then I have one or two more quick questions at the end, and then we'll get out of here. So really quick. All right, LA or New York?
For me, it's LA. I mean, obviously, I'm out here, and the reason is just the nature. Like, I think New York's an amazing city. I've had some great times in New York, but I don't like the pollution. I'm more of like, I'm in Malibu, right? I like the ocean and the mountains, and it's very rejuvenating for me.
quick weekend trips or long vacations, like week or month-long vacations?
It depends on the phase of life that you're in. I guess if I had to choose, I would say like longer, because part of the idea that I teach in Traibe Accelerator is like setting up shop in like a few different parts around the world that match the people that you want to network with and the lifestyle you want to create, and also your budget. So I would say like what I suggest guys do is like pick 3 areas around the world that, let's say for example, January through March, like Cape Town is a great place. Let's say like April through July. This could even be, April through July. I'd probably do like, for me, LA. And then after that, I do like Cape Cod, Boston for August through December for like family time too. Yeah. Holidays. Yeah.
Okay. Views on polygamy, good or bad?
I mean, I think to each his own. To each his own. You know, I don't knock it. But I do think that men and women are equally powerful. I definitely think that a lot of men in the, Tate mindset of like, you need multiple wives, this and that. It's like, you're not like, yes, Tate, you're the greatest man in the world, sure. But you could find a woman who's equally powerful. And I think that together, that man and woman is more powerful when they are committed to each other. I really do strongly believe that. And so yeah, I would lean toward not.
How much monthly income is ideal for most people? Like, where's a sweet spot?
As like an aspirational goal, I think like 30K, 30 to 50K a month is like a great aspiration between like investments and, whatever work, passion thing you're working on. And that's partly because, I think that, as you get bigger than that, you start to take on, and it depends who the person is, but you said most people. But when you get bigger than that, like, you develop like a lot more responsibility. And if you want a lot more responsibility, that's great.
Just understand what you're signing up for.
Yeah, understand what you're signing up for. Understand you have like people's livelihood at stake because you have a payroll and you have to, you get locked into this business that you're building.
Yep.
But then again, you can also do like one person business and people are, you could make a lot of money and invest it and etc. But yeah, I think from like a travel, lifestyle, comfort level, like 30 to 50K would make most people pretty much be able to get whatever they want in life. And it's not that unattainable. It's really not, especially if you just exercise skills that you already have and just get better and better and better at those skills. I think it's, there's so many different avenues to like channel money into your life. I mean, look what you're doing with jumping. It's like, you wouldn't, like, most people would think like, oh, you jump? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, like hard to answer. What do I do for a living? Like,
yeah.
I jump. It's
yeah.
funny.
So yeah, there's a niche to be able to make that happen for yourself, and no matter what it is, for sure.
Okay. Better investment right now, crypto or your business?
I guess the time will tell for that one, but I mean, 99 times out of 100, I would say your business for sure, because your business can become a vehicle long term that just is like a money printer,
just keeps on feeding you,
and it can obviously compound over time, and it's predictable, whereas crypto's not very predictable. I mean, it is over the bull run bear cycle. It's pretty guaranteed if you just look historically that if you just invest into markets when they're down, they will come back up. And right now, crypto's down.
Yep, we just came out of a bear market. You guys take a look.
Like the likelihood that Bitcoin's going to go back to 60K, that's a 3x on your whatever money you put in right now. So, I think crypto's a good investment right now. When everyone's excited about it, get the fuck away. I've lost a lot of money in crypto when I was following the excitement. So, generally speaking, investing, no financial advice, but invest when everyone else is afraid to talk about that thing.
Yep, definitely not financial advice. And then the last one of our hot takes, purely on looks, European woman or American woman?
Well, to not get cut, I have to say, I mean, my girlfriend's a mix. She's Russian. Her mom's 100% Russian. Her dad is 100% like Persian Israeli.
Oh, wow.
So she's a mix, 50-50, straight down the middle. So I would say Persian Russian is the ideal.
Safe. I love it. Love it. So, all right, I want to wrap it up with a question personal to me. So I have a large Instagram following. I mean, compared to some people, it's not, but 120,000 on Instagram, verified on Instagram. And I've really just been focused on building my business. It's a total business account. It's Against Odds Athletics. And this next year, so 2024, I want to finally build my personal brand and start a new channel from scratch, like Christopher Spell or something like that. And I wanted your opinion on basically how you would go about structuring and leveraging my already large platform and I guess a little bit of the clout that comes with it to also build the personal brand. Or would you, I can't really take the Against Odds Athletics, switch names and make that my personal, because again, that's how the business runs and I want to keep it that way. So how would you leverage that?
Yeah, so I would start the personal account and I would pick like 5 areas of your life that are important to you that you want to start expressing. And I would show jump stuff on your personal account, but I would also show travel stuff. I would show social things, things that you go out to dinner and such. Any other interests that you have, and just combine them all into the Chris Bell personal account and use your jump account to promote that one. So get it up, followers here and there. And then obviously the jump videos, I'm sure, go pretty viral. So you could post those on your personal as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'd bet you is that if you're consistent with this for about a year, I think your personal could actually generate more income than your business. And the reason is because people start to learn more about you specifically. There's a lot of jump accounts out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if they particularly resonate with Chris, because Chris is not only amazing at jumping, but he's an entrepreneur. He's in GCC. He travels. He hangs out with Arlin, right? He goes to, whatever, Nobu with group of chicks and like other, so like when they see and identify specifically with you personally and every other interest that you have in your life, I actually think that account will generate more money.
Wow. Awesome. Okay. So leverage that. Would you mention the other account in any way, or completely
just run both? Run both,
but separately, not like have one in the bio of the other or anything like that.
You could have the current jump one in the bio of the new personal one, but I probably wouldn't do the vice versa.
Awesome. That's
just occasionally story promote the personal one.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, I started this. If you want to know more about, what I eat, my personal life, I don't know.
Yeah. Build a bigger picture of not just Chris the jumper, but literally who is Chris Bell behind this. And
you look at the biggest brands in the world and pretty much everything about their whole life. You look at Grant Cardone. He's always posting his wife, his 2 daughters, they're traveling. Yeah. He's in the office sometimes, but like you show every aspect to your personality and people start to view you like a real human rather than just like a guy who jumps.
Yeah.
So obviously the jump account is great for like the growth it gets, but I guarantee you the loyalty of your following will increase the more personal stuff that you share.
Love that. Yeah, hey, keep an eye on that. I'm definitely going to use those. So I want to end it on, I want you to give a slap you in the face statement just to wake people up out of the trance that they're in of indecision and get them to actually act on these things, whether it's building a network, whether it is actually building a social circle and improving their lifestyle and their life setup. Like, what can you wake them up with?
I think a question that I would ask them to ponder, and it's actually completely unrelated to like, you would think it's completely unrelated to social and, your outer goals and the network that you're building, but it's actually directly correlated. And it is, if you can't do nothing, how do you expect yourself to be able to do anything? And what I mean by that is actually a quote about meditation. So if you can't sit down in a chair, if you think you don't have enough time, if you think, oh, my mind just gets too busy, or I have too much homework to do, or too much work to do, or too much jumping to do, or whatever. If you can't sit down in a chair for 30 minutes a day and not move and just sit there and allow your mind to go crazy, then how do you expect yourself to build a successful business, or to build a successful network, or to be good at editing videos, or whatever thing you want? There's no way to do that unless you're able to simply sit and just do this. Like, if you don't have the self-control to sit and do nothing physically, seriously, like how? Just think about
The most foundational.
It's foundational, exactly. It's like being on time. It's like you can't. So that's step one. We haven't really touched on that, but that kind of goes hand in hand with, like, you have to develop a connection with the universe, God, your higher self, whatever. And that comes through simple sitting there, allowing your thoughts to go fucking insane for a while, and then they quiet down. You do that every single day. You listen to this podcast again, all the other answers are pretty much in there, from how to build an event to, being on time to places, to, like, there's a lot of drips of wisdom in here, but you won't take action on them in the right course, in the right way, if you don't sit there and be still.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you aren't still, your thought patterns are other people's. You're acting off, the last thing that Arlin said was, oh, that's the thing I have to do. But then you're a feather in the wind. If you're listening to just what a guy at the end of the podcast tells you to do, instead of your own core intuition or the voice of God, you're not going to be able to have traction in anything in life.
Fishing rod or fish, right? Like, where, the analogy of, would you rather have a fish or a fishing rod?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly, I never heard that. That's great.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. So you got to be able to sit still, connect to your own voice of intuition, and listen to that voice, and then maybe go back, listen to the podcast, and that will direct you. It won't fail you.
Wow. Guys, I think that was a monster of a video, guys. So at Arlin, that's your social media, right? That's your Instagram. That's where we could find you. Is that the best place to find you?
Yeah. At Arlin, and then Arlin Moore on YouTube, posting videos once a week. But I think we have one more thing to do, right? You gotta jump.
All right. How can we get this?
I don't know. Let's go outside. We'll take a camera.
All right.
Yeah, so right here? Yeah. All right. I'll stand in the bathroom. Need a warm up at all or no? No. Okay.
Oh shit!
Holy shit.
And that's a wrap.